No. Start from the very beginning. Stop and then restart.
I love this because it sounds like the song that I've been wanting to hear for 2 years. The David song.
Introduce it.
These eyes do. Sorry.
There you go.
Ancient Indian Bobby Guru came down from the mountaintop, and he wasn't wearing any clothes. He wasn't wearing any socks. But the ancient Indian guru came down from the mountaintop, and he wasn't wearing any clothes, and he wasn't wearing any socks, and he had diamonds and lice in his beard. And as he began to speak, I began to think that he had some screws loose. He told me I would dance with the lizards and crawl on toadstools because the ancient Bobby Indian guru came down from the mountaintop, and he wasn't wearing any shoes, and he was talking about tetrads and socks. Because the ancient Indian guru had some kind of secret to reveal to me. And as he began to speak, with the diamonds and lice in his beard, I began to think that he had some screws loose. One more time?
Yeah.
But the ancient Indian Bobby Guru came down from the mountain. He told me I would dance with the lizards and crawl on the toadstools. And he gave me 50 peyote buttons and turned me loose in the desert. And as I heard the voice in the wind, I began to speak. But the ancient Indian Bobby Guru.
Jeez, I'm putting this on my resume. Jam with Corbin.
Don't jam with Puke and Liar.
Oh, Puke and Liar.
The great thing is the whole song, the neck of the camera, or the neck of the guitar is in Bob's face, so all you see is this hair around the neck, you know, and he's going, ah!
It would cut or what?
No, you just let it roll.
Was that an accent, or you planned it?
Yeah, I planned it that way. So now, Bob, you should switch back over to this side.
Seems to be getting warm. We got all the heat on. We got all the cold air coming in, right?
Yeah.
The windows are open.
Because the old, then it becomes D-O-L-D, D-O, dol, 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 dol.
That's Corbin's The 11th Thunder finning his wake. Dol, 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 dol.
Yeah. Here, we're cutting this thing for a second so we can talk about what we're
No, but Corbin, we got tons of tape. It's
Well,
stupid
the
to
best
cut.
Edit it.
No, it's stupid to cut.
Right, the best stuff is when you don't cut. And
Yeah.
you catch all the conversation about everybody talking about what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Right, that's what we're specialized
Okay, I'm... Jesus, Jerry. This has never happened before. It's dropping things on it.
So, I'm going to read the poetry? Who's the poet?
No,
here?
you're responding. This isn't even poetry. This is just shit.
Okay.
This
you're-
is word of
You're presenting
association.
shit to us.
Right.
Oh, okay.
This is shit theater.
And I'm to wipe it?
You're to polish it so it
Okay.
looks like stone.
Okay. All right.
So we turn the shit into stone.
It sounds like Bilkemy.
It is
As
built.
opposed
You know
to
what?
alchemy.
It is
Corbin.
Velcome.
Yeah,
Corbin, shift and come right here so he's looking right at you.
But the old.
He told
No, you can be closer. This way, closer this way.
that to me sounds...
Why do you want to look at me at all? You should be totally at him.
Oh, yeah,
He
right,
wants to
right,
see?
right.
Okay, come to
Never
the
getting-
right more, to the right more, to the right more.
More to
No, to the right more.
Right.
That's to the left.
No, that's to the. You're right.
Okay.
That's perfect.
This is shit.
But
All right, where this is an exercise in
old-
Velcome.
Yeah, Bilkemy or Bobakemy, but
Bob academic.
Bob Corbacemy.
But Corbin,
The thing I'd add to your song is the old Bobby, the old ancient Bobby.
Corbin,
Boo.
put it on this side, then you don't have.
Well, I might hit it with my foot. Jeez, I'd be careful with that. Yeah.
Alright.
The old Bobby obviously was someone, a relative older before me, because I would never speak of tetrads and then give the person peyote buttons. I mean, that's fucking screws loose, you know?
Yeah.
He spoke of tetrads and then gave you peyote buttons. Oh,
yeah. Well, no, this is like the guru that takes you into the desert for a vision quest. And he scares the living shit out of you by turning you loose naked in the desert
yeah.
with peyote buttons.
Yeah, that's a silly thing to do.
But is it silly? We saw
No,
the
I know, I'm
Wachuli.
joking.
We saw some of the Wachuli Indian silk paintings, and the epithet or the main motif of their silk paintings were peyote buttons.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm being ironic saying that that's rather irresponsible to take it.
This is Bilkemy.
That's what Frank. Yeah, Naji had a very interesting story about last night about Frank as a shaman.
Right.
Yeah.
In what regard, though?
She about 4 years ago, she read a book on primitive initiation rites.
Right.
But this kind of stuff you mentioned, you know.
Right.
She said this tribe, they take the boys off from the group and they put them in the shaman group and they just rip the shit out of them. But they also would take the girls and then they would deflower them. These guys would gangbang the girls
Right.
as part of their initiation.
Right.
And I don't know if gangbang, but they would, sexually deflower them. So she said, and when I read that, I understood that's what it was with Frank. I had been kidnapped into this world of surrealistic wacko-ness, a totally other world, and Frank was a shaman to me. I got the initiation right. She got it shamanized by Frank. And I think that, the way, you haven't read the book, have you?
No.
Yeah, if you read it, you can see she's describing that effect.
Huh.
So that was a very interesting insight that she had about herself and about what Frank did to her.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, she had a very unique experience with Frank, because here was this young girl that Frank liked, admired her mind. I just spoke to Don Preston today, and he said, yes, when he met Naji, she was obviously an intelligent girl.
Hmm.
And Frank then had his whole male energy dealing with Naji. And he's married, and he's getting ready to promote his film. He's making a big move in his career. And I don't want to go into the conclusion about it really, I don't know right now, but the thing was Frank was pushing his own envelope by what he was doing with her. And because, I mean, he had other affairs, but it was because of her intelligence. They were very similar. They had the same background. She had an R&B background, but she was a woman, so she was a woman Frank. A little Frankie and a little Elaine Zappa, so to speak. And, they interacted. And she describes in the book, he reduced her to laughing so hard she wet her pants off.
Right.
You know, in other words, she was over her head. She was in this maniac that was presenting his reality, and she's only 17, just out of high school, and 17, and you know, her birthday is my father's birthday, Jerry.
Yes,
That was
I wrote
interesting.
that down.
Did I bring it up? Did I mention it?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but July 1st. But the oh yeah, I mentioned the little story there. So she was hijacked, and she understood it better when she read about the anthropological stuff. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting, because last time that I saw Zappa, the '88 tour in Rhode Island. Now,
How many concerts did you see?
4 over a 10-year period.
No, I mean in that '88. I guess just
Tw-
one.
Two.
Two, yeah, I
Two.
saw 3.
Boston,
Remember
Massachusetts.
the date? February, March?
Sure don't, but the funny thing about the last time that I had the chance to witness the event or the phenomena of the '88 group was that I noticed that Frank somehow had this thing where he was coming on to chicks in the audience, which I found very bizarre for a guy in his 50s, you know, married family
No,
man.
he was, that's 650. He was
58.
48.
Well, almost
48.
50, yeah.
He was 47.
Right. Anyway, what I noticed is that he was in a roundabout way from the stage, besides exercising his power as musician, Zappa, Lord, whatever, that he was sort of coming on to chicks. Now, what happened with me, basically I had to leave to catch the bus back to Boston from Rhode Island at a certain time. So as I was walking out of this concert, which I attended by myself because I couldn't get anybody to go.
This is the second one
Yeah.
of Rhode Island.
Right. And as I was walking out, watching this phenomenal band,
It was a phenomenal
I
band, wasn't it?
know.
Wasn't that a phenomenal band? Wasn't
it was a
Oh,
great show,
yeah.
but it was the most absurd thing. Here we are in the midst of Bush and Republican domination of the 80s. It was the most absurd thing to think that this was making money and on stage and such a treat to see, but I knew it was the last time that I would see it. And as I was walking out of it, right before the encore, I could just see it dwindling away. And I knew that was the last time that I would ever see Zappa perform on stage.
You didn't know what? You thought he'd be dead?
No,
You
it's
just
just
thought he
something
was
told me.
going
It was too
somewhere.
good. It was too good to be true. Too absurd.
Yeah.
Too absurd to make money and be on, you know, Zappa doing retro Beatles and everything that he was doing. It was too good to be true.
I mean, it was good.
I can't really say from my point of view.
No, it's like it was too much excellence in a time of mediocrity. Is that what you mean?
I knew it was something that wouldn't be repeated. It was a phenomena
Right.
that was happening where just the event itself, while it was happening, was too absurd to begin with. And then on top of it, the intuition told me that was the last time that Zappa would be doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe Jerry knows, the Rhode Island show was towards the end of the tour, I guess right before they went to Europe. Do you have any idea how many dates were after that?
He went till June, approximately. May, June. And I saw him in New York in February, and Rhode Island was, what, March, April, right?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So he had another 2 months. He had a lot of dates to do in Europe.
Hmm. Well, I knew it was the downward spiral of what it was going on. I knew it, yeah, I can tell.
So you were, so you're 30, that's 55. No, 65. 65, so you were 22, 23. You were 22. You were the magic number.
88? Huh, I wonder. How old was I in 88? No, 7.
what time
Yeah,
of year?
22, 23.
Yeah, when would you-
Interesting. I
yeah.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, when would you be 23? Later in the year?
No, April. So I was about 23, 22, 23.
Just completing your 22nd year.
That's
Or-
hilarious.
Or completing your 23rd year, but you're in your 22-23 transition. And
Yeah.
Crowley is 23 and Bob is 22, so that's interesting, isn't it?
Well, no, Robert Anton Wilson's the 23. I don't think Crowley assumes that number, you know.
Yeah, okay, Wilson, but Wilson comes out of the old school, you know, he's back there.
Sure.
The
sort
Burroughs
of.
gang, and Bob is the new gang.
Right,
Bob and LaRouche. See, Jack Kerouac was born in 1922, LaRouche was born in 22.
right.
Wilson, Kerouac, and Burroughs, they're dead, and LaRouche is just coming into his own at the age of 73 with Bob riding him down. The 22 faction.
That's great. Did LaRouche serve in the war, do you know?
Yeah, he has interesting stories. He was in India at the end of the war, and he says, yes, his pompous way of talking about it, he had certain political interests, and the boys in these fellow soldiers in the barracks noticed that he was a good management kind of guy, so they voted him to express certain grievances to the officers.
Wow,
And he did
management
that.
trainee.
What?
Management trainee.
Yeah, he became management consultant. You know, when he came back, he invented his own thing. But he's talked about how the great optimism at the end of World War II, the Americans had won, technology was going to come in, and so he had that vision of the importance of technology for the third world. And then over the next 5 years, it dissipated, the impetus dissipated from the States, and he got pissed off at that. So he was very affected by what he saw when he was in the war, and that would be, he was only 22, 23.
Huh. Wow. So are we going to start this dialchemy?
Yeah.
Damn, your throat's all better.
I hope
Did you
so.
notice that?
Yeah, I noticed it. I was wondering if the salt, the beach did it.
Definitely helps.
Yeah, solar energy, I think.
Jerry, I think I should have.
A what?
I need a glass of juice, but make it a clean, the clean. I want a glass of the V8 juice.
No problem.
Why we got this little stupid name down here?
It was the white light was supposed. It was the white light was supposed to bounce off that.
Oh, you're reflecting, yeah. Do we need it there then?
No, we don't know.
Okay.
It's funny, Corbin. Today I faxed all these press releases.
Remember the right bottle, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The red label.
Not the spicy, the orange. No, not that one.
Oh.
Okay. No, I'll take that because it might be good on the popcorn. What were you saying?
Today I had this vision that all these press releases I sent out for Bob, no one responded, and Bob's like, "Good work, Jerry." You know, we do opposite. He's the greatest client ever I've had because if I don't get anything, good work.
That's
don't want.
good.
And then what comes
Media
to my,
ecology.
finally somebody responded today.
Today
Oh,
someone
great.
responded. I got pissed at Jerry. Said, "Fucking do that again, you're fired."
And then he always goes like this. Wait, am I the client or are you the agent? It's like total. Let me just use this for a second. That's where you're sitting, Bob?
I think so. Am I on the telephone, Jerry?
Okay, why don't you introduce it, Corbin, with something like, say...
Oh, the Indian guru was supposed to be the introduction.
Yeah, right, but
Now-
you've got
Okay,
to
all right, we
you
got-
got to introduce. You got to say this is
We're on with it.
these are readings by Corbin.
Oh yeah, all right.
So-
All right. Let's.
Can I
This.
look? Can I look, or you don't want me to hear it, see it yet?
No, I'd rather you respond.
Yeah.
The better
Orally.
psychological reaction. And psychology is the enemy of magic. So, and psychology is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard of in my life.
I've heard.
But
It's a long story you don't want to ever hear again.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. All right, now, Bob, this will be the beginning of our little dialogue. We graced space discarnately back in what, December 94, I believe.
21, yeah. Zappa's birthday is 94.
21, 22, the night of. Yeah.
Going into the 22nd, right?
Right. Yeah,
And
so,
1994 adds up to 23. 10 and 9 is 94 is 23. No,
right.
10 and 13. 94 is 13.
Right,
10,
right.
23.
All right, so now here we are in this present space and time, topographical environment, and what we're going to do is exchange spewage of rhetoric for the benefit of anybody stupid enough to watch this shit.
I not fortunate enough to come across it in the virtual reality of the 21st
No, they would
century.
be fortunate, because this is going to be put in a time capsule after everything's subsumed by your electric autonomy,
Yeah.
or the ignorance of the electronic condition.
Everything.
And therefore, whatever alien intelligence may encounter this,
Yeah.
even though they're stupid enough to watch this shit,
Yeah.
will
Be fortunate.
be fortunate. So it's not unfortunate.
Mhm.
All right, let's begin now. The 7 sevens, 777 lessons of the 7th book in the 7th volume of the 7th series in the 7th century since the 7th apocalypse.
That's very good, Carver. Do you
All
want
right.
to comment already? Or?
Well, you know what goes on here. I mean, 7 and 7's 14.
Mm. You know about the 14 factor we're in?
Well,
Is Carver,
that's
you up on that? Yeah, you're up on that.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, one more time now.
Yeah.
This is the top of your head. Every time I pause, that means it's over with.
Oh, okay. And
And you're responding.
Yeah, my response is
Right. Right, one more time.
Yeah.
The 7 sevens, 777 lessons of the 7th book in the 7th volume of the 7th series in the 7th century since the 7th apocalypse.
That was very funny. My last thought before I stopped my thinking to respond to you was 94, this is 8 months. December, 8th month, right? And I was going 8, 8, 8. I should tell Corn about 8. Now I'll suppress it. And then he comes out with a 7. Now this is very appropriate because look at the tetrad on the memo, Club 22. He goes 22 obsolesces 7, retrieves 18, and flips into 14. The 7 vibe doesn't apply anymore in the magic it had. We've moved into the 8. And my interpretation of moving into the 8 factor, this was spelled out by the Evergreens. They told me this several years ago. The 8 factor, to me, is 8 is infinity on its side, and we're going into the electric eternity. So that's why the Mobius strip of 8 is more appropriate for this new zone we're going into. And the 7 is interesting. It's an incomplete or an aborted thing, but it was appropriate for the period before we got into electric eternity.
So the 8 is more elliptical.
Yeah. It's a Mobius. You know what a Mobius strip is? It's elliptical. It's a
Right.
sign. It's this thing, right, on its side.
Right.
And so I assume. Didn't you say we're going to do a die-off? Did you say die-off or something?
Dialchemy.
Oh, okay, die-alchemy. Right, but anyways, die-off. I mean, we're killing off 7, so it's a very appropriate epitaph at the beginning here.
Yeah.
And I anticipated with the 8 factor, that's why I was laughing at, at the...
So you anticipated it.
I psychically picked it. The die-alchemy is happening already, Corbin.
That's fabulous,
Yeah.
man.
And I found it very funny because that's a good, humorous, bearing for the final time, the 7th son of the 7th, the 7th apocalypse.
See, what happens is all this shit came to me through certain states.
Oh, how recent is this? Lately?
Few months.
Okay.
Few months.
And is this what you wrote at the beginning, or it's reorganized? And
Oh, this is edited.
yeah, this is the final.
Very edited. No, not final. Far from
Not final, but it's been reorganized from
Reorganized for the purpose of our little discussion.
over the last day.
One day, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you took your notes.
I didn't have time to edit what I wanted to.
Well, you start off by just remove.
All right,
what-
we'll get into it.
Yeah.
All right, resuscitation of the androidian elemental, alchemy, telepathy, knowledge, acknowledged, act with knowledge, those that are reaching for the knowledge of the ancients and the future aliens, those that are content to absorb the environment of present-day religious leaders and politicians, flies on the mirror, spirit inside the mirror, minds below the mirror, birth above the mirrors, how to reflect the 14 trillion dimensions, spiraling and sprawling all mirrors, mirroring the mirrors, of all mysteries, which is the most miraculous of mysteries, wonderment, peppermint, indigent, the song, the silhouette, the soliloquy, the silly, the sensuous, the sound, the silence, the solstice, the solitude, the slice of life. Where it never began is where it always ends. But the end could only be the beginning unless it was the tail's end.
You say that last sentence, the last 10 words.
Where it never began is where it always ends. But the end could only be the beginning unless it was the tail's end.
Yeah. Well, now you've got into the other appropriate. I mean, we got numerology. We did the 7. Now we get into basic geometric forms and the squaring of the circle. But the mirror is the 7. That's interesting. The 7. It's like a cracked mirror. You know, you could stretch it down and make it a square, right? So it's a broken. It's a chip off of one side of the mirror and then around like that, right? So you've knocked off the other. When you throw out the 7 in this new 8 zone, you would knock out the mirror, because the mirror is visual reflection, and the alchemists would use the mirror as the visual bias symptom, but they would try to get you to get through the looking glass, get on the other side, so you can look at reality through both sides of the mirror. So the mirror is taken over by the circle, but especially the spiral. So your spiral references are very good, and the death of the mirror there, because it's appropriate you end with, and the tail ends. You went through this dialectic at the beginning and the end. In the end is my beginning, blah, blah. That's all obsolete. So it was very good that you dismissed everything you said with that last line, unless the tail ends or whatever that was. Because we are pointing out you showed the meaning of the mirror, its traditional alchemical importance, but there was a flippant dismissing of it by the end, which is very appropriate. So we've really, we're chronologically going right in the order. That's what you had to do. So now we've got form out, right? We've knocked out the geometric form.
All right.
And the spiral is the antidote to the mirror, but this is very important. LaRouche shows the post-spiral knowledge. All right, spiral is a circular action, but the spin is being in a new dimension now. So very good, Corbin.
Right.
I agree totally with what you did.
No, Bob. What I really like for you to do, because I know you're probably very adequately equipped, more so than most people, to articulate on this plateau of your tactile sensorium mediumness. Not so much to address these as a personal Corbin, because Corbin didn't write these.
Right. Well, I'm not talking to Corbin. I'm talking to what it is.
Right.
Right. It's not for you. I mean, well, it's for you, but I'm telling the universe whatever they try to throw at me, I'm responding.
I think he's getting nervous.
That's Corbin. Corbin just came out of trance there.
Okay, on with the third one now. Mind is all. Energy is nothingness. Power is ungratifying masturbation. Helplessness is hedonism. Christianity is the modern political orgasm for fascists. Rectus, you platypus, you are government. How efficient the machine on automatic pilot with no definable plan of efficiency. Oh, that greedy leader who would kill your grandmother with a conservative plan to reduce all deficits for future grandparents to get ripped off. Who's putting on who? Walking through eternity can bruise one's exterior illusion like a tank catching fire, with a warrior's spear through the skull, while the sword pierces the shield. Shield, it's funny, almost rhymes with veal. The goddess supreme, Isis. Isis. Isis.
Goddess supreme Isis.
Earth mother of fertility, whose veil no man or possibly God may lift. But still, this bruise is contagious, consuming multitudes of souls. Cryptic consultants sell doom, while most religions offer a discount on tombs. Tombstones, of course, are extra, to sell the seal of the wheel that changed unhumanity from bipedal existence to space travel. Very novice space travel at that. The objective is not to be subjective to the negative tons of weighty mass attack.
Well, very appropriate. You went from the numerology to forms, and now we're in the anthropomorphic and the old Rai action. The separateness was led to bureaucratic organization, the centralized dynamo, which the wheel enhanced the centralized dynamo, and all the technology that come from the wheel, which is the circle and circular action, the wheel circular action. But we flipped into the post-wheel situation, and so I think you were saying you were anticipating the feminine energy there, or were you dismissing it too? I wasn't sure what when you talked about the female and the earthy and the goddess. Were you dismissing that too? Because if you weren't, I would say
the goddess supreme, Isis, Nu, Earth Mother of fertility, whose veil, or I guess veil, no man, or possibly God, may lift.
Okay, now that's the prank queen, but we have the transformation of the prank queen in this new electric eternity thing. The prank queen was the controller of the male period. What was the opening line? Just give me the opening lines of that section, because they had meaning, and then I forgot them.
From the very beginning?
No, the beginning of the third section, after the geometry, after the mirror.
Mind is all.
Mind, oh yeah, mind is all. Just go a few of those things in there.
Oh, right. Mind is all. Energy is nothingness. Power is ungratifying masturbation.
Right, okay, that's yeah, power, which is the Rai principle. When Rai returned to essence in January 67, February 67, the symptoms that you develop there, the mania consultants, they're acting out their last masturbation. That is what we're dismissing too. That's good. We've dismissed, the seven, the mirror, the square, and now the anthropomorphic version of that, the tribal leader, or the Rai action. So there's no basis for power anymore. And out of that will come, for a lot of people, a kind of feminine energy. But my job is to not get us trapped in the feminine energy, only. And that's why I have to deal with the greatest female in our time, Connie, Me and Connie working it out, She's going to bring in that female energy with the mirror and all that stuff.
Huh, interesting.
There's no doubt that Connie is as an incipient goddess for our, in retrospect, when they look back at our period.
Great.
You saw the influence she has on
No, what are those tests they do where they show you cards and they want you to look at ink spots or something?
Rorschach ink. Yeah, you project in patterns in them.
That's what I'm really looking for here. That's what I'm looking for.
Are you looking at me as the blot?
No, you're looking at the blot.
That's the blot, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Good.
I'm interpreting the blot, aren't I?
He's doing pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. We did that part. That's
all right.
Okay,
Let's get on with that one.
Now, 4 is a very interesting number.
Uh-oh.
So what? 1, 2, 3 is the male trinity, is the Trinity thing. The 3
right.
factor. 3 is part of the 7 domain.
Right.
So what's going to happen in the 4 here?
Yes, 4 is starting to talk. It's funny because 4 now, the very first word in this little expression of paragraph word idiotism. Is 4 square.
4 there.
Or 4 square. It's O square. It's no square.
See how I predicted? I'm right in tune with
He's in tune, man. Did you give him a copy of this, Jerry?
No. No, I'm being psychic here. I didn't get to see a copy.
All right.
Does he have a copy?
No, a guy stopped us and he goes, "Who's the greatest?
That's the original.
Who's the greatest psychic? Who's the best psychic on Venice Beach?" And I said, "This guy right here." Hey, it happened already.
Yeah, and then he wanted us to read this shirt he, I guess, found. So I felt around and he said, I said, "Yeah, this is a good shirt. It's a nice color and nobody died in it. Take it. It's good." He said, "Okay, thank you."
Okay, so the 4 appropriately starts with 4 square. And how many eons ago time began a ticking clock to schedule Neanderthals to become humans.
Huge men.
Civilly, uncivilized, nation after nation. The conviction contains zeal and labors for reals of a constitution, how to feel, how to get kicked in the head and enjoy it. First, be born as a citizen of the ununited status of Amazing Land. Second, commit yourself to hard-working, self-enjoying individuals who want to make sure they benefit from your failure. As the things continues, you feel the overwhelming power of humans' generosity. Hit, get, meet, heat, sweet, compete, delete, swamp tweet, oh me, oh my, treat, a prize, arrived, I became a millionaire. I swear, I intended to be a benevolent being, but instead I invested in gold-plated toilet paper. If I had the proper jacket, I could be a maggot. With the proper shoes, a snail.
With a watch I may be a watcher, a nice shirt a sitter, some nice pants a panther. Well, it sort of rhymes with painter, but with the proper jacket I could be a maggot.
That's very good. What we got here is appropriately we've had a discontinuity. We went through the history 1, 2, 3, you know, the first 3 phases. Now we're flipping into the electric eternity, and you've changed your direction, the point, the arrow of your voice, or the arrow of the thing is the exaltation of moving into the 4th dimension, the electric eternity world, and the surprise, the amazing. So you're no longer complaining. The first 3 are complaints about the jerks, the past, and the rule of the Rai action. Now we have the liberation into the 4 form, and you have a very interesting subjective response to the beings having electric autonomy. This is neat, but not sure what form it's becoming. He or she is becoming in the 4th world. Therefore, the maggot and the zeal. You said a few echoes of the words from the previous sections. So this is the subjective response to moving into the electric 4th and out of the first 3 phases. Very good. It expressed the discovery. It's like hearing a Bob show and saying, "My God, I'm discarded. I'm a fucking maggot," but it's great, amazing land, you know. So I get that from that. How you like that one? Yeah. Well, you don't have any say in this, do you? It's.
But the old.
All right. So the fact you did that right then means we're now going into the 5th element, which is mud. So this is where I will begin to look like I have my screws loose in responding to this 5th phase. Right, Jerry? You following this, Jerry? You okay on this?
Love it.
What's worse, to make a decision and be wrong, or not to decide and wonder? The design of the gods is utterly perplexing. Can any universe comprehend or define itself? Can any race find its origin? Any blood find its source? Any question its answer? Reason is a season that doesn't cook from a book, where innovators never look for the intelligences the gods and goddesses took. How about the earth for space's fishhook, where the pleasing people tried to kill this magnificent outlook? Pretend you were not scared. Pretend you were not afraid. Pretend you were alive. Pretend you were important. Pretend you were loved. Pretend you were not a racist. Pretend you were good in bed. Pretend you were president.
Okay, now, well, it reminded me of the 4th phase. It's the continuation of that. But what word I would say, the 4th phase moves into prescription for your prescription advice for your electric autonomy, and you're doing that again in this one. But what is the 5th element is mud, because we're in it. We're not connected to there's no future. There's no continuity of past, present, future. Time has disappeared. So we're in a situation now where every day is a making of now. It's now making. It has no reference to time. It's not a future. We can't get to a future. That's been sloughed off from the previous world of time of humans and Rai. So time is gone. So we can't have any connection with past. We can't have any connection with a present, and no connection with the future. All gone. We're just in a world of now making. We got morning. We have a now. We swim around in. And so those kind of questions would come up. You can. There's no reference point of an identity in it, so you can say, "I did this, I did that." As you participate in now, you can claim anything in this situation. So you're expressing the fourth phase, but now it's deeper. It's a continuation of the 4th phase. It's spirally more dense and showing touching on the different points, prescribing a remedy, of expressing the inability to prescribe a remedy, and sort of celebrating the state, but still acknowledging the eternal question, or the eternal incompleteness that even happens in the electric eternity. That's what it was on the 5th phase. So, and so our question is, you are probably going to be repeating. It's very hard to go in the 4th, 5th. It's very hard for you to go make anything new now. You know what I mean? The new was going from the 3 to 4th. So you're repeating yourself in the 5th, but it was good. It brought in other aspects of the dilemma of prescription. You know what I mean? So I'd be interested in what happens in the 6th phase. Yeah, Corbin, he's not going to be in 6th phase. He's finished. He's reached slack, Jerry. Look at him. He's entered the silent sea. And old is all, for 1, 2, 3 is old. When there was time, past, present, future, old. There's no old now. We're in the 4th, 5th, and 6th zone. Old.
Was the remedy silence the ultimate interval?
It's another good question, Corbin. we could run that till noon hour, in the sense that, thanks, caller, for the question. Yes, very good point. Next caller.
Okay, our next little sixth phase of this stuff.
Yeah, I would say that, I would note that who's ever watching this,
who's ever fortunate enough not to watch
to
this,
discover this, go into what Corbin just said to me, which ended with the word interval. That was a good sentence, but not relevant for me to respond.
Yeah, not prescribable at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for you people to work that out. The ones watching it. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on now. The dance. To dance.
Oh, what? The or D?
The
dance.
Could be do dance.
Yeah.
Do dance. Do dance.
Dodecahedron.
Do dance. Do. The dance, to dance, dancing dinner, dancing lover, dancing puppet, dancing sleep, dancing hat, dancing music, dancing in a circle, dancing duo, duet, dynamic, dithyramb, do, diddled, do, doubt, donut, deity.
No, it's the 4th phase, amplifying another aspect, the dancing interval. How can you tell the dancer from the dance was, Yeats's question. So yeah, you're now describing the interval. You were describing the interval in phase 5 by the posing the old dialectic use of question and answer and showing the ability to pretend whichever way you want to do with it. It's irrelevant. So you could put it on for a day any way you want. Now, but to the observer that he sees a lot of dancing going on. So the 6th level is an observation of 4 and 5, and it's emphasizing the interval aspect, the resonant interval. So the dancing metaphor is very important. There's the thumb. Show your thumb if you're dumb.
Didn't I hear that in a song once?
Yeah. In the old days, back when there was time. I think when Frank died, that was the final enunciation of time. And that's what he was concerned about. He wanted to know what time it is.
If you're really dumb, show me your thumb.
What time is it was Frank's question. So when he died, time in. That's the 53 to 93 phase. See, everything disappeared in 45, and then we had a hologram of replaying of a fake time from 53 to 93. So Frank had to end in 93. And you could say that Frank... Now, that was something I wanted to tell you. I've been thinking, trying to smudge the facts a bit and say, Frank would talk about he began composing when he was 13 or 14. That's 53. If you say he started when he was 13, he was in his 13th year at the end of 53. So he was 12. I've never seen him say he started composing at 12, but he sort of says 14, 13, 14. So I'm trying to say Frank started composing in 53. Right, Jerry?
He had to. That's when I was born.
Yeah, that's another factor. I haven't brought that up before. The importance of 53, that's when Frank got activated. Right? That's another point that I meant to tell you months ago. Okay, what did we just do one? Now we're going to do the 7th.
Dance.
Yeah, we danced. And now we're going to do a 7th, or?
Yeah, but we started with the 7th.
This is what?
We started with the 7th.
Yeah, it's going to be.
That was
here,
obsolete.
the old bugger could have shown up again. How is he going to try and bring back himself? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see what happens here in the 7th paragraph. 7th stanza.
It could be, but I think the problem is getting out of this 3rd or 4th phase. The mud.
Yeah.
The muddiness.
That's right. It's very hard. That's why we recommend turning it off for a few minutes to get our bearing. It might be a way out by turning it all off for a minute.
Right.
May not, but I think we're going to have to take the risk. because we're not going to get out of this thing. You know what I mean?
But it's almost like a fuse. When it blows itself out, you trip the circuit backwards. So you're recommending the turning off, just to rest it.
Yeah, just to. It's an option, and since we can't really solve our dilemma now, then we have to get absurd. So let's see if we can solve our dilemma by, artificially getting out of it for a minute, and see what happens.
But do you ever artificially get out of it?
No, because it's fail-safe. We can just turn it back on if it gets freaky. See, we got immortality, Corbin. We're fucking safe from now on. It's the second coming, as I have in my chart.
Right, but where does this mortality actually begin?
It probably begins with Bob and me and Connie. In this sense we have the D-cell and the mirror, but that's where it begins. It begins with us.
But we were talking about earlier.
I guess I did kill Frank. I was here, man. I
Well,
fucking
that's
killed
one
him.
thing you didn't tell Nige.
Yeah, that's
one,
it.
I was gonna yell it at one.
Did I talk about killing other people?
Mm-mm.
No, but we didn't want to get into that level. They don't know me that way yet.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I sat here for 6 months, waiting for Frank to die, and then I said, oh, looks like he's gone. I can leave. So I left, and then he died a few months later. And remember, the significance was Jerry was with the other main Club 22 archivist, Sue Bone, in San Francisco, when you had the East Coast archivist of Bob, Sue Bone, and Jerry meeting that week on Saturday, and then you find out. Were you with Sue when you found out? No, you found out when you got on the plane. But he had a great,
to come home.
he had a totally unrealistic, but a Club 22, Club 14 bubble experience with Sue, while Frank was dying and dead. And then he finds out when he gets on the bus going to the airport in L.A. or
Coming home from the airport.
L.A. airport. He didn't find out in San Francisco. He found out when he landed in L.A. Frank's dead.
What, in the newspaper or what?
Yeah, the Monday morning paper, or the Sunday night paper, whatever. Right?
No, Monday paper.
Yeah. And so he was in a Club 22 bubble. It was so resonating with Bob. I mean, it was like victory for the Club 22 people where they met in San Francisco, which is the antidote to the L.A. Frank was a dialectic between L.A. and San Francisco in Frank's career all the time. So and
it was actually PK and I were in his car driving to a Dave Emery lecture.
At the moment it happened.
Singing Dancing Fool the moment it happened.
Yeah. And Dancing Fool, there's your dancing now. So see how we brought this whole story up at the end of the 6-phase dancing thing. Singing Dancing Fool and in a traffic jam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dancing Fool. See how that works? We just went off in this digression about Frank and killing blah, 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 and it comes to the punchline, Dancing Fool. We did not see that coming, 3 minutes ago. But it resonates with...
That's evidence.
Evidence. So this is the dilemma we're in. This is going to continually happening until, the rest of you figure, holy shit, it is happening. So I just repeat myself often. The evidence. We keep repeating they say, if you can prove it once, repeat it if it's repeatable. So in that sense, we're repeatable.
So I guess we're sort of on track.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're well on track. The thing is, science demands you to be able to produce a repeatable experiment. But I'm fucking repeating the proof all the time, but they refuse to acknowledge it. You know what I mean? So there's the dilemma. That's why scientific repetition is not relevant anymore, because we're into a theatrical being. So there's a discontinuity between the way of measuring whether we got there or not. We can't measure it in the old terms. So the only
new
way.
Instruments.
What?
New instruments.
Yeah, which are, Bob and Connie. I'm an instrument to show you in my life as a laboratory experiment, the prototype of what's happened to us.
So you're like a lab rat.
A labyrinth? Oh, yeah, very good word.
Could be a labyrinth.
Oh, yeah, good, yeah, lab rat. I'm a lab rat. I'm actually the Minotaur and the guy running around hiding from the Minotaur, the same, both ends of the dilemma, right?
I'm the agent and the client.
Yeah, I'm the agent. Now that's funny. We just figured that out today. I said we were going. Well, who's the client? Well, who's the other guy? And my employer, and blah blah blah. And we came out agent. The agent is the guy that gets clients. And then I said, yeah, and you got the intelligence agent level there. In the information environment, the boss is the agent. I just heard an interview, the new book on William Morris Agency, which someone mentioned. Who mentioned William Morris Agency today? Or yesterday. They had contact with, Nigel went to London to connect with the William Morris or something?
Yeah. She had William Morris puddling her demo.
In London?
Yeah.
There's a new book on the William Morris Agency. I forget what we were just talking about. Just go back to before 90. What part?
Something about that book on the William Morris Agency.
Yeah, what was it about? Oh, The Agent. So they were talking about Hollywood is run by the new book out on the William Morris Agency. That's how the real control in Hollywood is not the stars, it's the talent agents. The talent agents are the controllers of the software entertainment world. So there's the agent factor. And yes, I'm both the client and the agent. So that's why when I come in for my business meetings, I say, okay, today, since there's no reference from before, it's always new every day, but new now making. Who's the agent today? Who's agent? You, Jerry, or me? You know what I mean? And the next day it's different. And like we were going down the beach laughing about how, well, are we using money in this transaction this time? Is there money involved?
Oh, wow. You know what? That brings us into
the 7?
No, that might be the 9th or the 8th.
Okay, let's see. Let's do this.
Let's keep that. Hold that
Yeah.
thought. Wow.
And now he's entered
There's
the
your
labyrinth.
proof again.
Yeah.
It is the labyrinth.
Corbin has entered Bob's labyrinth.
And I didn't even pay admission.
Yeah. That's why I said we don't know if there's any money involved today or not.
We're not charging.
Yeah, we don't know.
You got lucky. You came on the free edition day.
Yeah, it's like we were. Here's Bob having business meeting with the Hollywood moguls or whatever, and he comes in. The guy sits down. He's all nervous. He wants to feel out whether he can sign Bob or not. And we're there, and then we talk. Well, and then Bob turns to Jerry and goes, "Is there money involved in these negotiations? Are we talking money today or not?" And she mentions the guy. Go, "What? You mean no money involved? Maybe. Yeah, there may not be any money involved in these papers we're signing."
Right.
Okay.
Now I understand all this spewage, being as it was edited not in a particular fashion. The
What
numerical, the spewage that I'm spewing forth here.
Oh yeah. You now understand it.
Well, yeah,
you
but
saying?
the numerical content, there's no particular order.
Yeah.
Now the evidence, as the tape will show to the jury after we've killed most of the people we're getting ready to, will show
After we
that Bob...
we pretend that we're caught and
Right.
show up at the trial for Mr. O.J. J.O. You remember my interpretation of O.J.?
Yeah.
Hey, Joe. Hey, O.J. Where you going with that
no,
gun?
Bobo.
What?
Bobo.
Yeah. But
Jojo.
Hey, Joe. I mean, he was the black archetype. Hey, Joe, where you going with that gun? O.J. is Joe backwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
Famous black son.
Right.
Okay.
But Jojo is Bobo.
Right. J.B.
Right. But the point that I'm trying to make here, for those not
jury.
fortunate enough to watch this in the time capsule,
Yeah.
after everything's been subsumed through Jerry's environment, introducing you to
Yeah.
this camera,
Yeah.
the evidence will show for Jojo and Bobo that even though this shit was not put together in any particular fashion, you were able to sculpt it or mold it, but not by means of money, which we do not know yet if this comes in the 8th phase or the 9th phase.
We don't know.
Right. But the transaction is somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're just not quite sure.
How valuable the process is and whether it could be measured.
Right. So I'll just continue with the spewage, and for those unfortunate enough to endure,
To be the bucket for the spewage.
right, slop, I didn't even include this one, but those that are fortunate enough to dance the cosmic pig,
Yeah.
right, will understand that this was no particular order.
Yeah. And we're now going into the 7th phase, right? This is the 7th
Yeah,
phase.
but fortunately, I don't think that I even got anything relevant here. But being as it's in
I predicted that. 7 is a vain attempt to bring back the old 7-3 gang, and this
Right.
thing will be a total blop. I predict this thing will have no content irrelevant. Okay.
all right,
Yeah.
good job.
So let's see if we're right.
This should be accurate appraisal.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that what
Okay.
you were doing when you were looking at it? You sort of thought, oh, this will be a flop as you were looking ahead at what was going to be
no,
said?
not really.
Well, it looks like you were looking and sort of hesitant to go into it. But anyways, you said it, and then I responded.
No, it's just the idea that in terms of interchange, when something's in word form, that is the particular way it's sculpted. There's no changing it.
Yeah.
Whereas in dialogue, in terms of capturing what we're doing is a lot better. Just
Self-correction is possible.
Right.
Yeah, it's alive. It's organic. This is mechanical and
Right. So
frozen.
this is dead space.
Yeah.
You know,
But no space
your
is dead.
Gutenberg galaxy.
Yeah, it's Gutenberg. It's a holy path of retrieval of the Gutenberg galaxy.
Right.
And that's what we hope. We're wondering if the paper can make itself organic enough to be a candidate. It's like the seven. You know, will you include me even though I fucked up? You know, can I come too? And we're measuring. Ooh, that was close. I tell you that.
But the paper actually itself is alive.
Right.
That's what's kind of interesting here.
Yeah, it's actually so far we could have put it away in the fire. It could be put on Noah's Ark. You know, it's auditioning here to be on Noah's Ark.
Dithram, yeah.
What?
Dithram.
Dithyrambic. You mean dithyrambic?
Yeah.
That was a Lewis book, the Dithyrambic Spectator. Which means the wild, abandoned, wildly dancing. And we've done the dance in the sixth phase here.
Back to the sixth
the
phase.
This paper is a dithyrambic spectator hoping to be get on stage.
Right.
Okay.
So in terms of content, this paper is hoping to be alive.
Yes. We will determine whether it is alive. See, this is where Bob resurrects and gives immortality. It's like a J. Am I still alive? Is what it's asking.
Right.
And so a channel through you created an artifact of itself to present to Bob to see what would happen.
Right.
Okay.
All right, and just for a reference point, like reference tone, I believe it's full moon in Aquarius tonight or tomorrow night.
Good.
Okay.
We're into it. We're very close to it, and it would be appropriate.
So this seventh phase should be obsolete.
Yeah, this should be.
This should be absolute junk.
The test on the paper is: did he know that he was going to be fuck up a 7? Knew that 7 would be fucked up, and purposely channeled a fucked up 7 to be still a candidate. You know what I mean? If he comes up with any meaning in this one, he's in trouble.
That's right.
So we've laid out.
Keep the money one. Yeah, it's coming
all
up.
the money,
I'm not sure which phase it is.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's get on with this garbage. Names, signs, sights, senses, non-tangible matter, energy, communication, singing, reading, being, the thing, inging it, violent violins, singing symphonies of bloodshed, hate, and non-productive industry, lakes of matter, churning, sweet illusion called existence. To desire intelligence is to be aware that ignorance is a pathetic compromise. To ratify, to rectify, to pan-fry, to take the bus and be late, to practice to regurgitate, to ascertain those shades of gray, the effect, to project, to protect, a perspect, the connect, what to do to what. Rope is not a knot, only a hope of what is note. A note to tote rope ties all hope. No joke, this rope to hang a hangman, to connect and anchor a choir. Skullmates, spine dates, foot weights, hesitate, the great, to spring, to zing, what a ding, the bell sting, state versus the people. Incompetence is innocence, the war on the home front, intelligence is often discouraged.
Obviously repeating the themes of 4, 5, and 6, definitely imitating, straining to look like it's in the new dimension and failing, and he's damn lucky he failed because it was supposed to fail. So that was a nothing. It was a lot of the old 1, 2, 3 themes that kind of complained about the old Power Day, the hate, the blah blah blah, the intelligence.
Yeah, I'll fuck all that shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, rope. Let's talk about rope.
Oh, rope is visual space. That's linear. That's a beginning and end, and that's visual space came out of the circle, and you can generate through synthetic projective geometry the line and the point. They can be made out of the circle. You can't rely on the line and the point as self-evident axioms or postulates or beginning forms that you work from. Only a circle can do that. So this is total linear space, emphasizing the linearity of its 1, 2, 3 phase, the visual space period, and it's sort of trying to say, don't forget the rope, which was a futile fucking gesture. So this totally has no content, this 7th phase.
Good, I like that.
Yeah. Well, the rope, I was tuning in on the rope point. How what a stupid old appendage the guy was waving to.
But rope almost like a printing press or something. I mean, in terms of American culture. this was sort of an innovation, albeit linear or obsolete or whatever you want to say.
Oh, it's not. It wasn't obsolete when it came in. It's now obsolete.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I mean, just think about rope. Rope was hemp.
Yeah.
Hemp is for dummies. You hang dummies.
Well, when hemp went through the visual space culture, they knocked out the hemp part. You know, hemp gets retrieved in the electric phase so.
Explain that. I've lost that one.
Okay, the fact that hemp was good for roping, that was lost over the last 100 years as a valuable interpretation of rope. I mean, they knocked off the hemp source of making rope, right?
Right.
Right. So, rope was created out of new, more modern media, which were manufactured hardware media sources of making it. The organic hemp factor of rope is being retrieved, and so people are holding up the rope, which is really an interesting seven phenomena. The hemp guys are still trying to get stoned in the old way, and they're trying to communicate to it what they perceive as visual culture. So they're saying, you know, you can make an organic linear space, an organic rope, but with hemp. So they're trying to retrieve the organic ancient hemp roots of rope and present it as an attractive symbol for their candidacy to get on Noah's Ark. So yeah, that's very important.
But once again,
it doesn't work.
But they're working with the seven thing.
Right, that's right. That's rope and seven are the same thing. Visual space.
And getting back to this mirror thing, where you just can't.
They should make a hemp. They should produce a hemp circle. They have to find a use for hemp, not in ropes. That's too linear. In some product that is non-linear, they've got to apply hemp if they want to resuscitate the hemp industry. I'll tell this to Jeannie, who I've interviewed on her show. You've got to find a new medium for hemp, not rope. It won't work.
Possibly a computer disk.
Yeah, some kind of silicon of application or something. An organic, non-radioactive computer or something. Microwave. Overcome the microwave problem.
Right. Wow. Money could be involved with that.
What's Jerry doing? Why the hell do I have this stupid thing glaring? It's just the old white light of stupidity, reminding me of the ancient death process.
It makes look at the shadows he throws up with his glasses. It makes it go up. No, get better lighting.
Okay.
If you want to take a break, we can turn.
No break.
Yeah.
We're now.
We're almost done here.
Yeah. So we did seven. It was a valiant attempt to preserve it. It's still a candidate. It's fucked up. No content there.
Right. Well, none of this has any content.
Oh no, it has a wave going through it.
Oh, okay.
Now a wave, what's a wave made up of? That's the point. This has no content, but it has the wave factor.
Oh, I see. Is that from the wave energy you received today?
Oh, good point. Very good. Yeah, we're in the waves today. And remember, it was August 8th. I point out to Jerry that the preface to Laws of Media is dated 8/8/88, August 8/88.
Right.
And then the junior version of Laws of Media, the other book called Global Village, by Bruce Powers and Marshall, both had Marshall as co-authors. One by his son.
Right.
He put his book out and has his preface 8/8/88, the same preface as date he wrote it at the same time as Eric. I don't know if they were in cahoots with that. So I pointed this out today, Jerry. I said, today's a very interesting day, Jerry. It's the 8th day. And I'm emphasizing 8ness because we're going past the 7.
Right.
And it was the day we got into the waves. And definitely Marshall's a wave philosopher. Or the 8 thing, mirror and all that is wave stuff. So yeah, it resonates. This is a wave day. So we've made a wave here, and it has no content, but it is a wave. That's the electric reality is waves. Waves are going to become the basic model. It's, getting rid of particles and atoms. They won't survive as images, icons of matter in this new zone. The wave will become the base icon.
Right.
And
also the wave is a form of communication. If we're trying to get rid of the 7 stuff, you're waving it.
Yeah, it's an 8. Look, the 8 is a fucking wave. Yeah, you're waving.
You're waving it.
Yeah, that's what the hidden meaning of Fata Communion. I often say, what's Fata Communion? Well, that's when you wave to somebody. It's a form of waving. Well, waving with Bob Dobbs. That's the book has no content, but it has many waves in it.
Huh.
Ooh, pretty good, eh?
Huh.
Waving with Bob Dobbs. Fata Communion. It's Reagan, Reagan just waved to everybody. Leary used to do skits.
That's pretty good, yeah. I think that's how he really got his most appeal.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't what he was articulating.
Yeah, he knew after 77 everything had disappeared. It was a holopathic negative after image of the disappearance, and so all through the 80s the wave ruled. So he was doing Fata Communion.
Right. So how?
And you know who
how,
does a funny skit on that? Is Jackie Mason does a fantastic interpretation of the Reagan era. He talks about how Carter was the old style. He worried about every problem that came along. Reagan, if they told him, you know, something they almost blew up Utah, he'd laugh. He'd shrug. He wouldn't shrug. He'd laugh. He laughed at everything. Everything was nothing. You know what I mean? And he does this great skit how Reagan is laughing. Whereas Carter's the Greek thinker. What am I going to do about this? And Reagan knew there was. He took the Duchamp point. There's no problem. No, there's no solution because there's no fucking problem.
All right, now maybe you can help me with this one. This is just a thought. I don't know how accurate this is statement-wise. If 77 on is the wave period.
The 14 period, so to speak.
All right.
No,
The period shortly before that, approximately 55.
No, that's 77
55?
on. From 77 on is the the end of the 7 zone.
Right. But from maybe 55 through 77,
22
until maybe
years. 22 years. Very
Right.
important. That's your period. No, you're 65, but it's Frank's period. Frank begins. No. Here's an idea. The Francesco Zappa had to deal with the Duke of York. All right. Now in the Wars of Roses, I figured this pattern out 2 days ago, back in New York. The Wars of Roses were between 1455 and 1485. Okay? 30-year period. The Wars of Roses in England was between the House of Lancaster and the House of York. So I consider Frank replaying the House of Lancaster gang, Beefheart and him, against Mick Jagger and John Lennon, the House of York. And the Duke of York was very instrumental in the overlap between the Vatican Bank and the Banco Ambrosiano Freemasonic guy hanging on the Friars Bridge in 1982, which Frank mentions in his book, Them or Us. So the York-Lancaster battle is the battle between John Lennon and Zappa. And it's from 55 to 85. Frank's career ends in 85. By 85, he's done the great 84 stuff. 85, he's gone. And then he does a replay in 88, and you're right, that's the end. So Frank is 55 to 85. Now 55 to 27 is interesting because it was in 77 when Lather came out and a new Frank appeared. He then got into he had the technology in 78, 79 for Shoot Your Booty, the Xenocrity. You know what I mean?
Right.
So a phase ended from the 55 to 77 period. Now you were emphasizing the 55, 77 for what reason?
All right. Well, if the wave is basically the hand signal from 77
Good
on.
phrase, hand signals for the blind. You know that? You're thinking of that's the back of the book,
Yeah.
Were you quoting that?
No, not consciously.
Oh, you meant the wave signal.
Right.
Yeah, hand. Yeah.
No,
that's
but
hand signals for the blind. Waving for the blind. It's so
It is.
appropriate.
It's all the way. But shortly before that, the
Before
thumbs
55?
up. Before 77.
Yeah, thumbs up.
The thumbs up, the phallic symbol of thumbs up, was always, hey,
If you're
you
dumb.
know, show me your thumb if you're really dumb.
Yeah, now what that means, that's the Bobby Brown syndrome where women's lib takes over, all right,
Right.
in the gay thing, and Zoodalores is the one which has the dumb thing, 76. So you have the dumb as the penis. Show me your penis if you're dumb. You know,
Right.
that's the swamping of the male energy.
Right.
And Frank he knows you can be a male if you do it ironically, and so knew he was being dumb by being a male, and so he said let's put them on and be dumb and show our thumbs, you know. The erect thumb, right? And you're right, that dies in 77. Lather, it's lather from that. It's lather and later.
Huh.
Bob, be careful of pushing into this curtain. No, that's fine. Just don't
Yeah.
lean back.
You know, lather. It's
'Cause
interesting. You know, it just occurred to me that's shampoo horn.
Oh yeah.
That's Weasel are doing a pun on their father's lather. Now, lather had an umlaut. What did it mean as an
Leather.
umlaut? Oh, leather, right. So, what was the name of their band? Shampoo Horn, or that was the name of the album?
Z.
And the album was called Shampoo Horn? What was the album called? Shampoo Horn?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shampoo Horn. So there's their
Now
version
their
of that.
next album is Music for Pets.
Music for Pets?
Yeah.
Oh, that's replaying Fido and the dog energy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dog thing of Frank. Yeah, they need to talk to me. It's like I could make meaning in their own work that they didn't know if they talked to me.
I wonder when they're going to do that.
Yeah, when are the Zappa kids going to confront the real Mr. Zappa, the one who impregnated Gail? That's the big question. What
I
are you gonna
wonder.
do? Yeah.
You fuck hell.
Well, it was a job, Jerry.
That's like jokes like,
Frank needed an excuse so they wouldn't assassinate him, so we had to set up a fake family situation.
But Frank wasn't going to produce it. He was down in the lab.
That's like fucking your own father.
Yeah.
The thing, the ing.
That's
the
why he
ing
called
again.
themselves the mothers. You know, he was always dealing with this dilemma. He didn't call himself the father invention, the mothers of invention.
All right, well, let's get on with this 8 thing.
Now this should be very interesting. We now, I mean, it's double 4, right? Now note
Right.
that 8 is 2 cubed. It's a 23 factor in 8. 2
Wait,
times,
explain that. I don't have that one.
well, 2 squared is 4. You know squared.
Right.
2 times 2 is 4.
Sure, right.
And then you go 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So 2 cubed, and you cube 2, the old visual space dialectic, you get 8. So that's a 20, and it's the 23, 2 and 3. You put the 2 together.
Oh.
So I would say that 23, 2, 3 equal numbers. But when we're going into the 22, which, you know, when you get 4, 4, and 2 20 is 4, if you get an 8 resonation with 2, the 3 starts to shrink. So it becomes a little 3 up there. It's like its last gap is to cube the 2 before it goes. So it's an attempt to get to 8.
2 cubed is 6, isn't it?
No. 2 times 2 is 4.
Oh,
and then
you're
2
right.
times 4 is 8. And then 2 times 8 is 16. So 2 to the 4th is 16. Okay?
That's right.
Boy, we're good in math.
Good what? Good move?
Good Earth.
Earth? First it was mouth, then it was earth. That's what my video opens up at. Bob's mouth. Have you ever seen my video?
Which one?
You know, everything's disappeared.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We don't need to go into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
let's-
programmed it on ABC and CBS for a couple of years before they kicked me off. You know.
You programmed what?
Yeah, when I owned CBS and.
Oh, you put on the album? You put on the
Right,
video?
right. Well, they bought me out.
Heavy
GE,
rotation?
Right. Yeah, GE just
Look at
bought
the money
me out.
thing starting to come through. He's fucking thinks he's got a lot of money now. There's the money factor coming out of
I
him.
told you I was a millionaire.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
play stupid.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And but you're saying that you put everything's just been into heavy rotation when you were running the show.
Hey, I had to keep it under tab somehow.
That's right, yeah.
We called it, what was it, Dateline with Tom Brokaw or some...
Tom Broken.
Yeah. Anyway.
Broken jaw. It becomes broke jaw.
You know,
Broke off.
Connie Chung used to fish a lot.
Now look at that Connie. They're an attempt to smear my Connie with this funny Connie Chung fucking thing.
Hey, don't you put your thumbs up around Connie.
Yeah, that's what I told them. I mean, Connie sort of, I don't know who won that. Probably she won the PR battle between her and Dan. Tribe of Dan, which, you know, take off on, well, I won't go into that.
Well, it is interesting how much appeal they actually do have.
I don't know who they're not appealing to anybody. Nobody is fucking watching the mainstream. There's no mainstream. Everything disappeared in 77. They did a replay of a fake mainstream in with Reagan, and Bush failed in carrying on, and Clinton can't do it. There is no mainstream.
You know what?
It's impossible.
Clinton's
Nobody
been-
even cares. Their anxiety over there at the Pulse.
I don't even think we've discussed. I haven't heard you discuss anything about Clinton since being the last time that we were together physically. Bush was president.
No, that was 93. Clinton was president.
Just coming.
No, he got being president in late 92.
Boy, I'm out of touch.
Yeah, you know, a few weeks after we were together, which was in July 93,
3.
Clinton had his tragedy. You know, Vince Foster was killed, died, disappeared. That was July 20th or 21st, Marshall McLuhan's birthday, which should be an important point.
Well, let's get on with this 8th thing. Even though we know it's...
Oh, this is going to be better than 7, you know.
It should be.
Yeah.
But we can't predict these things.
No, we don't know whether there's any money involved in this or not.
Let me look it over.
Oh, you would anticipate, eh? No, wait, that's an interesting... First attempt to anticipate, which is a tetradding, which is the 8 of the 4. You know, that's very good. That's appropriate that you attempt to... It's too exciting.
See right there.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, we're trying to... This one's going to be heavy. I want to protect myself by looking and taking a little preview first before we do it. See? That's
The words have been changed to protect the uninnocent.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, vision is the ism of the chism. No, this is not synthetic calcium. Oh, I understand that this is part of the monolith. right, riddle, diddle, ripple, germ, squirm, zerm, perm, derm, quirm, worm. This is no unconscious thing. I am on the dream team. My mind's eye is a laser beam. Dreams can forecast the future. Future can reflect the past. The past can never be the same blast. 5. The wine that circumvents time. The romance that enhances the know of the dough. That's aloof. All money is not green. That's the spoof. All of it is a nooth of the bloom or room in space-times ad infinitum continuum.
Very good.
That was the 8.
Yeah. Is that the money factor you wanted to?
I think so.
Yeah, it's
All
interesting.
money's not green.
Yeah, correct.
That's the spoof.
Yeah, fuck the greenies. You know, the green movement. You know, the eco-fascists. Which is a way to preserve the old meaning of money by saving land. It's interesting. You did your money. You declared yourself as owner of your ABC capital cities just before
CBS,
this one.
yeah,
CBS.
yeah.
I'm just spinning off.
Yeah.
And you did it just before the 8th. You had to anticipate, sort of hoping that it would make sense that you did it, and you did. That was a very good paragraph. It was a total declaration of confidence. It is, the questioning is over. You see, the process from 4, 5, 6, and 7, which was a quandary and an exhilaration, but a quandary. The 8th is eighth phase is very confident, saying what it is, has defined it. No more questioning. So that's the eternity. So that's good. Now, is there any more? Is there 9 and 10? Are we going to get 10 thunders or what?
Oh, I wonder if we actually got 10. Yeah, we do exactly 10.
Okay, good.
He predicts it before it even happens.
Look at Jerry, puzzled Jerry. He gets so sick of this. With this attitude, with the way I'm on a roll, he'll never get to sit in this fucking chair. That's the way Jerry looks at it. When will I get to take over a management position? When can I become the client?
So, once again, the evidence of this tape will show 10 thunders before we even talked about it.
Yeah. And you know what, Jerry and I started today? That was the reason I was showing the 888 thing, which is we were transcribing Bob's talk. We began computerizing, correcting Bob's talk and Finnegan's Wake and the Thunders today. So that's why.
Huh.
So it relates. We finished the Zappa when...
We want to thank Jerry Fialka for giving us patience and time to sit in his living room and talk shit for an hour or two. Oh, yeah. Hello, Harry. Ancient Indian guru. All right, let's get this shit over with. So
8, that was 8 got out of its dilemma.
That
really
was
a
that
definite
was 8.
statement of what it was. It knew what it was.
No, but now we're on to the new phase.
Yeah, now...
10. I mean,
Or
because... No, there's 10 thunders. Unconsciously, I didn't even anticipate 10.
Right, that's right.
But the 10th shows probably the most important one, even though it's short of all of these.
Here's what's interesting is that we became aware, the thing became confident and self-conscious of the process at 8. And it was after we did 8 we discovered the 10. See, because we're conscious of the wave now.
Right.
We know where it's going.
But you know what? This is back to that York thing, because the number 9, the John Lennon thing, so it probably sucks. But, you know, number 9, number 9, number 9.
Yeah.
So
I'm
not going to...
Number 9 is the number for Gaia, Isis, female energy in traditional alchemical symbolism.
Right.
So this should probably have a heavy feminine thing or something about feminine energy here.
Oh, I'm not sure. We'll see.
Let's see.
We'll see. It probably sucks, but...
Yeah. So this is 9.
Anyway, so... How wise and light the ill illuminations, so silent, so bright, the ignorance is rampant, airtight, insight, alive, salivating of electrical insanity that we call go vorn a min tu ti. My congressional bid for parliamentary, ad tune, emental, advertis, mental, mondo 3,000 grams of wheatgrass, go nor mes oik, shoestring cerebellium. O me, fleas, who sang, let all things pee and sneeze. How not to be a sleaze, maggot, shit-eating motherfucker piece of rotten ether. Doormat for the urchins of the street, but I giveth them because they can't even spell mother, piece, rotten ether. When computers began...
I tried out mother piece. Just go that back. Can't even spell. Do that again.
Can't even spell mother piece rotten ether.
Ooh. Is that the end or a little more?
One more.
Yeah.
When computers began programming themselves and writing and rewriting all literature,
Oh no, that is so feminine you won't believe it. Give a little hint. It's cerebellum. Abraham and Sarah, wasn't it? Wasn't Sarah one of the original biblical wives? She was archetypal. It might have been Abraham's wife. I'm not sure. But you got cerebellum, you got Sarah, and you got mother. I predicted the mother.
You did.
Now what this
I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, the 9. Since we've gone into the totally electric eternity of female energy, and we realize it with 8. Then the woman pronounced the triumph of female energy, and the theme of that is media ecology, is complaining about the electric environment that allowed I don't think she's aware that it allowed her to take over. The right hemisphere surfaced, and she's complaining about the male technological thing, the computers, the electrical thing, and how there's no control over it. So it's the demand for media ecology by the feminine principle in phase 9. Isn't that amazing? It's right in there.
Huh.
So obviously.
Did you write this?
Yeah. You think I can't channel, through other people besides myself?
I know that. I've thought about that.
Yeah.
Well, this is the 10th thunder of this series.
Now, this is very interesting. I channel through Lynch. I claim that anything of meaning that shows up today that's relevance is reflecting Bob's thinking or Bob's reality. The better art it is, the closer it is.
Right.
So I only write the good stuff, or the stuff that has laser beam intensity. You know what I mean?
I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I said it, because I wrote it and I knew I'd written it, so I...
Interesting. Well, let's get on with this
now,
10th series here.
Yeah, now this will be post-feminine. This will be where the 1 and the 0 are in harmony. The male thumb, the penis, and the female circle, okay? So we have a resolution in this thing.
I wonder. What do you think, Jer?
Right on.
Yeah. I mean, the paper is trying to show its relevance. The paper wants to show... The paper, show your little fingernail. What is that part of the thumb? I mean, that's an aggressive thumb. I don't know, or is it a cone head, the shampoo horn thumb? Yeah, the conic section. But I was saying that I predicted the paper, to show that it's capable of not creating a fragmented sensibility. This piece of paper has to resolve the wave. It will have to present a completion, an evolution as I've explained it. It will have to match my direction I've created here, an unfoldment, to be a candidate to remain alive. So let's see if they do it.
All right, let's see. The sequence of the series of the combination of the top secret info animation for the most lethal weapon humanity may ever witness. Codename FART. F-A-R-T. Fascinating, animation, repressive, Tita murder do no nanocycle death.
Well, I'm going to have to look at that. I've got an idea, but I just want to look at, since it is a visual medium, let me see now. You've been translating the visual medium acoustically, which is not what it is. Now, I've heard what it said. Now, what I hear may not be the same thing that I see. And that began... How come the number 10's there? You didn't add that, did you?
10.
You forgot. Well, you did have 10, but you forgot you had 10, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you had numbered them.
Uh-huh.
Jeez. 9 is the whole page. First of all,
10.
The sequence is linear. Visual space. It's trying to hijack 10 and put a linear point in it. You know what I mean? Which is appropriate. It's trying to show the relevance of 10 in this the relevance of linearity in this non-linear dimension. The sequence of the series starts off with this 2 main linear characteristic sequence of series. Do this combination. That's the dialectic. That linear dialectic. The top. You get a top, bottom, and linear space of the top secret. When you had visual space, you had those who know and those who didn't know. You can't have any difference now. So he's listed the characters as visual space, trying to say, this is where we're going, to visual space. It all led to me, to his visual space. It's visual space. Sequence, series, combination, top secret, all visual. Info animation. Now, it's acknowledging this is a holopathic retrieval. It's a cartoon version of linearity, and it's info, which is content. For the most lethal weapon humanity may ever witness, that's Jerry's, electricity killed humanity. It's acknowledging it understands how it's been killed and why it's been killed. It knows why the electric dimension tactility killed visual space. but he's offering a role. It must be a secret in there somewhere that we can put in a sequence in a series for only as a joke, info animation, you know what I mean? For this most lethal weapon, from its point of view, it is a lethal weapon humanity may ever witness, codename Fart. Now, B-Fart song, Old Fart at Play. And of course I started farting several thunders ago, if you noticed. Did you know? Did you smell
No,
it?
no.
I'm starting to fart. I was wondering if it was bothering me, but nobody bothered. So this is visual space. I'm going to be a fart. I'm going to be out of sync here, but maybe you won't smell me, and I will be on the boat. I won't fart. I won't fart. Okay? Code name is Fart. In other words, we know that it is farting, but we'll never fucking speak about it because it's top secret, right? So the code name Fart, fascinating animation, repressive. That's visual space. What's that? Teta murder?
Teta murder, do no nano cycle death.
Right. Teta is 4. It's trying to get past the 1, 2, 3. It's trying to be a 4 character, which is included in the 10, because 10 and 4 is 14. So it's trying to add a 4 to the 10 to make 14, right?
Good.
Teta murder. You can kill me anytime you want, says the linear space. You know what I mean? But I'm a 4. I'm willing to be a 4. Do no nanocycle. Very nanocycle. In other words, as we get into the electric eternity and cycles go faster and faster, and I said we're going to go beyond the circle. It'll be so fast you won't even have circular action. He's saying, I will be linear, but I'll be a cycle, and I'll be so fast, and I'll be dead. You won't notice me, so please let me on, and I won't fart. Oh no, you'll pretend not to notice my farting. That's the meaning. You see, it's so the sequence of this. He's saying, I am the sequence, I am the series, I'm the combination of top secret. I will present myself as info animation for the most lethal. From Paper's point of view, electricity killed humanity. He doesn't really believe this is a good direction we're going in, right? And he acknowledges, I know you're lethal. You killed me, and it's for the most lethal weapon humanity may ever witness, the electric recording of things. This is a witnessing operation. May ever witness. Codename Fart. In other words, it is the most amazing. Visual space is offering itself to be part of the content of the future. And it will be amazing that it was allowed in, and it will be known as Codename Fart, which is its disservice, which will be the secret. It's willing to present itself as the secret, its own essence as its own secret for us to ignore. In other words, it will allow itself to be here as long as we don't acknowledge it as what it is or was. Okay? And therefore, Codename Fart, fascinating animation, repressive, characteristic of visual space, and it'll be a death of me, a 4 factor, but I will be the 4 as long as you allow me. And if you do no nanocycle death on me, but I will be a little nanocycle. It'll be death for me, but I hope to be considered alive.
Fabulous, man.
Yeah.
You're such a great artist.
Yeah.
A farting artist at that.
And Tim Carey wrote the play The Insect Trainer on a guy who farts and his fart kills someone, and they put him on trial. and Tim is the West Coast Garrett.
That's right. That's very important. That you could fit that. And I would keep looking. That's him up there,
Yeah.
right? And I keep looking. I said, "There's Jerry's guy." You know. So Jerry now has a final relevance of his own holy office. Brings in here because Teta murder, do no nanocycle death. I mean, it knows it can be charged for causing death through its farts. That's the point. What's it called? The Insect Trainer.
The Insect Trainer.
Is
and
a
he
play.
died before it got completed.
Was it going to be produced?
Oh yeah, he was in rehearsals when he died.
Did it get produced?
No, his son hopes to finish it, but
When did-
no one could ever play Tim. But his
Right.
son,
When did it die? When did he die? Was it 93?
Oh yeah, he died in '93.
Oh,
yeah.
see? And he couldn't see, Jerry. That represents why you're the agent or the client, whichever was the worst position to be in that day, and I'm in the slack position,
Right.
and you're always secondary because you went to the. Now Garrett died. I mean, maybe he and Garrett died very close to each other.
I'm gonna get the date.
Yeah, Garrett died in '93 too, and the point is, Jerry, his guy couldn't make. Jerry, his guy didn't make it, but it was a great compliment that he made it to '93 and produced the play. But he couldn't make it. Neither could Garrett.
5/11.
And Garrett died 11-5 almost.
Wait, 5/11/94.
Oh. Okay. I would say that. See, Garrett died November 1st or 2nd, '93. Is that 7 months? May is 5. No. Okay, no. December, January, February, March, April, May. That's 6 months. December, January, February, March, April, May. 6 months. So he's the half-life of Garrett. You know what I mean? It's symmetrically, and he's got the 11, which is November. You know what I mean? And they never found Garrett's body till fucking November 5th. So it's the fucking opposite of fucking Garrett. Garrett was 11.5,
Right.
and he was 5'11", 6 months.
And he gave Frank his first job.
Oh, see?
To score the world's
Greatest sinner, which is me. Or visual space, or whatever you want to say. But that's, I always claim I'm the world's greatest sinner, right? And so, that's amazing, eh? And so you brought him up as a postscript to this exegesis of the channeled work here. Carrie was a postscript for me. I wasn't too involved in him. When you found out about Garrett, you thought, oh, I had a Garrett in my life. When I showed you Garrett, you saw your Garrett in the mirror, right? Your Garrett had a meaning for you once you saw the standard, the gold standard, right? So that's how they're related.
Yeah.
And you get into
And Mirror was the second phase of this.
Who?
Mirror was the second phase of this.
But right, yeah, the mirror, and that's visual space. The point is, it didn't get finished. The insect trainer, that's Ant-Man B. You see, that's, Ant-Man B. I've explained that. When I first presented an interpretation of Ant-Man B in Seattle, 1960, early 70. Yeah, the album came out, it came out in the spring of 69, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I had experienced it. So, because I remember telling someone in Seattle in early 70 what Ant-Man B, and he goes, where'd you get that from? I said, I got it from myself, and he couldn't believe that I interpreted and made that explanation, you know? But see, the insect trainer, you see, Tim is Beefheart. I mean, he started Frank, but he was more like a Beefheart. He never made it big like Frank, you know what I mean? Like Beefheart never made it big. So, so he resonates with Beefheart.
Right.
He's actually, you look at him, he's a combination of Frank and Beefheart. He's right in between them.
He is.
You know what I mean? Good point, eh?
Amazing.
Yeah, so this is what's amazing, how you look at people when you walk down the street. And they are, you can just see it so divinely proportioned. Like some aspects of you probably resonate with some people I knew years ago. But your other parts of them. And in 1973, Steve and I were in New York. We went to Carnegie Hall for, I think it was the Ornette Coleman concert night, one of the greatest concerts I went to. And this guy was walking around, a guy like that. He was older and like a wacko Garrett kind of guy, but a little off base, but, really intense. And he was just going around holding up his picture. He was going on like this, and he was just walking through the crowd, and he'd want you to respond, and nobody responded. So I can't remember if it was before, I think it was after the concert. We were out in the street, and he came along, and he did this to us again. So we started to talk to him, and he pointed out to us that there was an exact replica of you on this planet. Every one of us has an exact replica that creation created. You have a double. And he says, it's very important for you to find your double. So he was kind of showing what his double looked like, which was himself. He could have just said, I look like this and present himself. But he was pointing out that there's a replica with a replica photograph. Asking, I guess he meant, have you seen this person? Do you know what I mean? Because then he could help. They might know that a person looks like him, but they wouldn't think of it. They just looked at him directly. He's trying to use Perseus' shield as an art form so that you might know someone that looks like him, so he can find his double. And I remember some of the metaphysics was that you will meet your double, or you better be ready when your double comes along, or something like that. And that's the old mirror dilemma. But that's very interesting to bring up that story after this Garrett, this doubleness.
And also, Tim got the farting thing from Salvador Dali.
And Dali used to go to Garrett, yeah.
And Dali, my interview with the Dali curator was arranged through Corbin's connection.
Right. But look at the mystery of Dali is that he was able to stay married to a Gale. You see, that's the, Gala,
Yeah.
The Gale thing. And it's interesting that Frank, years ago, you could see that Frank was like a Dali. He was like a Dali of music, of pop culture. The Dali thing that Frank resonated. Dali was the same thing. He was popular, successful, and did okay, you know what I mean? You had a wacko. Frank was popular, successful, wacko. And they both had a similar similar named wife. You know what I mean? So I was
Don has talked to me about Beefheart. Beefheart has talked to me about Dolly. He would see him and he'd drop a piece of hash.
Where would he see him?
Somewhere he saw him. He like unscrew his cane and drop a piece of hash, and then the other end of the cane was a pointed thing, and he would stab the piece and pick it up and grab it.
And eat it?
No, I don't think he'd eat it.
Yeah,
it
would be on the ground.
Yeah, it was his device.
The way he displayed his hash.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Now, the thing about me and Jerry, now G, the letter G, you're Jerry with a G. And, okay, so I just wanted to say that that's the tunnel vision, that this fact that I'm the only one here, and so the software image keeps replaying my image back to myself and my particular details of the day, that bombardment of synchronicity is the anti-Bob's effort to keep me obsessed with myself and make me less human, or make me make me fusion energy, or make the real present. And that's why I would turn off the media, so that at least that media, which you can move it really fast at electric speed, would slow it down. If they only had books to do it to me through, you know what I mean? So that's why you would speed up. And you're all going to, as you get reawakened, reappeared, you will all have to go through these dilemmas. So I'm working out these strategies and techniques of how to survive when you get reappeared, because it's all going to happen to you too, you know?
Why do you suppose that you were selected for this?
Because I rigged the game, because I started it.
Well, that's what I mean. Okay, if you go to that point, you started it.
Well, it's a good question or a good answer?
Well, no, okay.
Excellent.
If you go to that point, though, you started it.
Yeah.
Couldn't anybody?
What was that song? I started a joke. What was that song in the 60s?
song.
What? Bee Gees. Right. There was a. I think that was in the.
Bob loves pop culture.
Well, they forced me to love it. You know, it's the water I'm in. You know.
Who are they? I like that. Who are they?
What?
Isn't that a lonely place?
Where I'm in?
Yeah, you
No.
started it.
You know why?
Why?
Because I got Connie.
Well, no.
But you said you are lonely, the two of you.
Oh yeah, we'd like to. We know. We recognize the. Yeah, we were like a crowd. We want to have a party.
Well, we all started it, right? It's
Well, that's what I
it's a
was-
matter
If you say so, Scott.
No.
If you need to believe that.
No, it's just simply a matter of to what degree one recognizes that within
Yeah.
themselves.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but if you take. a
But
look
that
at
doesn't satisfy him. He's
But
got to
But
keep
no,
talking.
If you take a look, couldn't anybody? I mean, isn't that the whole idea behind being Bob? Is that even going back to the Subgenius, book of the Subgenius.
Yeah.
The idea to make your own Bob. Well, couldn't anybody do that? Couldn't any of us go? Okay, we're gonna be Bob, and then turn off the media.
Okay.
Come up with.
Look, you guys. This is your private identity expressing a desire for affirmation. Now, the crowd is there. We're always in the medium of the crowd. But every now and then we hook a figure, an individual comes out of it. Now the crowd needs to sustain itself as a crowd. It needs its opposite. So you need the individual. So Bob acts out the desire for individual affirmation of separation from the crowd, and that it has a private worth, not just reflected in the crowd. So he's interpreting me as doing that. And he says, well, that's what I'll do. Of course it is for you. But you need someone who's leading you or who's ahead of the game, so that creates a critical path of individuation that you need to approximate when you get to the point where you're going to develop it. You know what I mean? So you're going to get the crowd and the individual, that's the eternal dialectic going on, the I thou, I guess you could say. That's always going to be there.
Did you use the word critical path in reference to Bucky Fuller just now?
On purpose. I suspected you only know it through Fuller, but you know who uses it a lot? LaRouche.
Wow.
And that's where LaRouche in his writings lately is taught in the critical path, and that's the path of least action, and that's why LaRouche is right between Bucky Fuller and McLuhan. So Kyle, you see what I'm saying is that, you're saying, Bob, you're a crowd from my point of view. You must allow me to be Bob too. So the paradox is you're asking me to be you're asking yourself for candidacy to be Bob, but you're doing it through the mediation of the crowd interpretation of Bob. Not the interpretation of me is totally unique and you'll never be me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but no, not trying to be you as an individual.
But
To have Kyle locked down.
I know, as a symbol You're, in other words, you're saying, you're citing the Book of the Subgenius as a crowd mythic stage.
Well, I mean, is the idea... Well, yeah, well, it started out, yeah, as it's a crowd mythic stage, but isn't the idea that the crowd eventually learns how to make their individual selves lock down and rule themselves?
And remember, the medium determines that. We're now at the point where the individual can have electric autonomy. In that sense, Bob is a metaphor for the crowd, and he's celebrating his anarchic individuality. That is what the potential is in our present environment.
But is the process of doing that, turning off the media, going into the private citadel of consciousness, and both shaping the things that's going on the outside world when you actually go out on the streets and deal with people, and shaping what is going to be happening on the media when you read a book, or turning on a television and going through that process that you were going through with the Twin Peaks thing.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
What's the response you require?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to get your reaction to that.
Well, I said yes.
Oh, okay.
Why were the Nag Hammadi's manuscripts uncovered in 1945?
Yes, that was
about...
amazing. That was one of the first operations I was involved in.
Yeah.
Because that's the 18 factor.
Yeah.
See, the Club 22 had to deposit the Gnostic occult interpretation of Christianity. They had to bring in the cult of the East and reincarnation and all this stuff. And so we
scenes.
Yeah, had to bring back the secret occult roots of the Club 22 gang. So it was the beginning of the retrieval of 18. It already been laid out by Theosophists and Madame Blavatsky, but they were fringe, they were occultists from India. But to put it in a Christian context had to be done. You know what I mean? So the West could go through Blavatskyism within the Christian context. That was really, that's what 22 retrieved. In 45, 22 was over, so to speak. So then it retrieved 18 to keep itself going.
And then.
And you could say 45 years later, 1990, we flipped into 14.
Yeah. We had a little moment of 14 there around the Kennedy years.
No, that was 22. I mean, killed in the 22nd. Look at the 22 there.
Yeah.
Now look at the word Bob.
Didn't Marshall say there was a balance of visual and acoustic space there for a brief time in the 60s?
Oh yeah, when television came in as an environment in the 50s, let's say from 55 to 63, Elvis to Kennedy, that was the retrieval of the harmony of the medieval environment. But we weren't conscious of it, so we kept the thing going, so it flipped in its opposite. If we were conscious in 64, we would have turned TV off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like that was the service effect. But the disservice was the TV was very addictive to the crowd, and it wouldn't. You'd have to actually have a dictatorship and turn it off, which would be good for the crowd, and it'd be the only way the crowd would wake up. And we obviously have never woken up, and we're just disappearing, and then nobody can do anything about it. That was in other words, you put the whole population in 55 on LSD and never stopped. Now that's not a healthy thing to do. Even an individual can understand that, and that's what TV was. And the computer was LSD in the business world, and TV was the LSD in the social world. So here, if we're constantly stoned, what the fuck? That ain't good, is it?
Yeah. So now we flipped into 14, and we can anticipate that to last 20 years or something?
Until 2020, yeah.
Until 2020?
Yeah.
And then it'll flip into something else?
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. Once on the radio show, a kid called up. He was like a Kyle. He was a younger member of the regular callers in Toronto, and he said, Bob, Lockdown Bob Rowe from 1990 to 2020. What happens after 2020? I said, oh, that's the period of the Bob versus the church. So it'll be quite a weird time after 2020. But that's not worth going into, because what's the point? We got to go through the first phase first. And there's no way getting out of that. That's where we're as human beings, we're in an environment we can't get out of the conditions of our time. You know what I mean? So that's a different time. I mean, the Evergreens said it. They said the world will be very different in 25 years. So different from the way it is today. And that's another way of saying what I just said. It'll be so different after 2020, after 25 years, that let's just tell you what's happening now and where we're going to get to 2020, which is 202022. But look at the word Bob, 20, which is 15-2, or 262, or 15. O is the 15th letter, so it can be 5, take away 1 is 4, or it can be 6, so it can be 242. You remember the Palestinian Resolution 242 since 1970, and in the year 1970 I lived at 242, so blah blah blah. That was an early synchronicity for me.
And Jerry Garcia 420.
Yeah. So and it comes out today, to resonate with that. And in August, this is August 9th, so it's 8, 9 is 17, and then 1995 is what? 10, 15, 25 is 7, so that's 26, right? See, no, excuse me, 95 is 14, 10 is 24, which is 6. And August is 8 is 14, 14, 9 is 23. So, on a 23 day, the archetypal pop culture image of the 23 San Francisco Raw Around Town Wilson gang, Garcia dies. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, that's that one. But why did we... So we're just talking about the two... So Bob, 262, 242... 2, but it's a 0 in between the two 2s. You see, so Bob puts the circle in the middle and breaks up the 2-2.
14 is actually that's going past the. We were talking. Terrence is talking about the retrieval of the archaic, and you're saying that McLuhan already said that. But 14 is the retrieval of Lemuria. We've gone past the archaic.
Of the retrieval of the Lemuria.
Lemurian.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We've gone past the archaic and into a whole other.
Yeah. 22 is Atlantean, that's right. See, McKenna's still stuck in his Atlantean reality, the 22 factor, but he's the 23 agent of it. Now, you just reminded me something. What's very interesting, McKenna's chart ends on December 21st, 2012, eh?
2012, yeah.
This is Zappa's birthday. See, that's what's fucking amazing. And Zappa was an ending of music.
You don't see any relevance to that date.
What?
You don't see any relevance to that date?
His birthday?
To 2012.
Oh no! The Evergreen said in 2013, 2014, it's going to be a fad. People are going to have T-shirts saying "I survived in 2012."
Yeah,
I'm still here. That'll be a big fad.
Right.
We ain't going to disappear in 2012.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, McKenna is belatedly talking about disappearance that happened in '77 and 1990.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting. He does, since McKenna comes out of the San Francisco acoustic biased culture of rock and roll and drugs, that he's picked Frank Zappa's birthday. And Frank was the anti-environment to the San Francisco scene. He also was the greatest musician. He was the last musician of acoustic space. He put Finnegan's Wake into music. It's very, you could see the local bias in the counterculture of McKenna's date. He's really reflecting Frank. And Frank is the, the anti-environment to it and also the conclusion of it. And 2012 is, 122, which is an address I used to have in Toronto. I'm the original 22, so to speak.
About Frank, that book, The Negative Dialectics of Poodle Plate. Do you think that's a
good book?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's Ben doesn't know enough. See, what's amazing is I told Jerry for years that that Finnegan's Wake was Frank was putting Finnegan's Wake to music. I said it to that Phil guy who went to the Residence in 1977. Rock Finnegan's Wake, rock and roll. Finnegan's Wake is rock and roll in print.
Right.
And I've also noted that Captain Beefheart, the doppelganger for Frank, always raved about. He never read much, but he had one book he raved about: Wyndham Lewis's Apes of God. So the dialectic of Wyndham Lewis and Joyce is very important, and so that's reflecting the dialectic of Frank and Beefheart. Now Frank told me personally in 1985 he doesn't know why anybody published Finnegan's Wake. He thought the book was ridiculous. It didn't mean anything to him. But that's because he had to act out the unconscious manifestation of that in the acoustic medium. Negative Dialectics talks about the influence of how Frank replays Wyndham Lewis and Finnegan's Wake and James Joyce. So he has the right archetypal sources in his book, but he doesn't know the real meanings of Finnegan's Wake and Lewis. He just puts it within the Frankfurt School of Marxist sociology and the British tradition out of Fabian socialism. So he is he's on the right track, but he's walking into it backwards. And so it's a very good book to begin to prove Bob's thesis. So when people hear what I say about Frank after they've read that book, then they'll understand Frank, because they'll have been familiarized with these outrageous notions that Frank was connected to Finnegans Wake, which he knew nothing about and didn't care about. But Ben's talking on a deeper level. He's picking up on the roots that Frank came out of. Frank was too busy to know any roots. He had a job to do. He didn't care about anything, about anybody, where anything else happened. He just had to do his work, and he did it. So we can see how he fits in as an individual into the crowd tradition, and it's Lewis and Joyce, and Ben is good for picking that up. But Ben doesn't explain it, so people review the book saying, well, this is fine and dandy, but even Frank doesn't know what the guy's talking about. Right. It doesn't relate, because he doesn't...
They say that he tries to put in too much Finnegans Wake stuff, and
yeah.
It doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit.
Because he doesn't...
He's not interpreting the Wake properly. So because the whole notion is outrageous, I value the book in a sense in relation to music of John the Baptist. It's approaching, making people consider something that never would occur to them, the Finnegans Wake aspect of Frank. But when they hear me say it on tape or whatever, then they'll say, oh, that's what Ben should have said was the reason. Now it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think of the book.
I don't know quite how you got, I mean, the idea that Frank had put Finnegans Wake to music, because...
well, Frank made music with no content. No musical content. Therefore, he was free to make any sound, to be a media figure. He knew the composition was more than just making an acoustic product. It was your interaction in a putative way with media imagery. And so he was the most, that's why he was the greatest composer of our time, because you had to be in the media. And he had a prominent role in the media as a symbol of different things. And he had long staying power, which surprised people in that role, and therefore his real composition, he once said, I consider a question and answer interview period as a composition. He knew the speech nature of music, that music had come to the speech dialogue nature of the TV dialogic talk show reality. And that was the essence of his aesthetic. And in Bob Marshall, my colleague's interview with Zappa in '88, Bob Marshall brings out the meaning of Sprechstimme and how that came from blues, but was first laid down by Bartok, and Frank spells it out in that interview. So, what was the point? How is that like Finnegans Wake? In other words, Frank knew that music was obsolete. The present-day composer refuses to die. What'd you say, Kyle?
Okay.
Yeah, and just like Joyce wrote a book, which based on the premise books were obsolete. You know what I mean? And then he just replayed the whole history of bookdom, pointing out to the pattern that was killing it, the electric environment. So Frank pointed out why music was dead via the electric involvement he had as the electric metaphor. I mean...
Wait, how did the electric involvement show that music was dead?
Well, Frank spent his whole career faking a snob attitude towards pop culture. He says, these people wallow in swill, the swill coming out of your TV screen, and don't have a sense of finer things or of excellence. So he propped up a disciplined portrayal of music making in the Beethoven classical sense, but most people thought his music was crazy. He didn't look disciplined. It's only when you took the time to see him you could say, oh man, the organization, the control. As an anti-environment to Beefheart, it was control but presented a more anarchistic effect. Frank presented a controlled effect. That's therefore his image of the Hitler mustache. He was pretending he was a dictator. And also music was the real conditioning of people. This is the Uncle Meat thesis, that music controls people's body rhythms and that. Marshall pointed out, back in the 40s, that politics was showbiz, and the real control was in show business. Showbiz, Hollywood, was the real political control, hence Frank Sinatra, and the Mafia, and all that stuff, and Frank doing a takeoff on Frank Zappa, and Dylan noting it in John Wesley Harding saying the key is Frank, 2 levels of Frank. So Frank knew that, and he satirized Frank Sinatra all the way through. I mean, Dave Wally told me that the title of Lumpy Gravy, where he spells out Vincent Zappa, one of the few times he spells out his name.
His name isn't that.
Yeah, it's Frank.
Specifically to spoof Sinatra.
That's the point.
His name is not Vincent.
Explain that to him, how he spoofs Zappa. No, I mean, how he spoofs Sinatra. Say that.
Because on the album he says Francis Vincent Zappa.
Right.
As a spoof, because
Frank Vincent Sinatra.
Ah.
See? See, there's the Frank. You're proving my point.
We went on. We thought for years that Frank's middle name was Vincent, and it isn't.
That's right. He was satirizing Frank Sinatra with his. Okay, there's the Frank. That proves my point that he was satirizing Hollywood. He always sort of be. He was known as the guy who was in L.A., hated the city, but had to be here for his business, and he always was an outsider in Hollywood. So he was an anti-environment to the political mafia control, the Grand Wazoo control via music, via obsolete acoustic space. So he had a tactile view of music, though he never could say it. He just acted it out instinctively.
Ah, okay.
Now LaRouche would not get
Totally
all this
opposite. Oh, he's the opposite
Yeah,
of Frank.
so-
Man, you remember hearing me when I was on the radio in January 22nd, 94? We talked about the death of Frank. That was the first opportunity for me. And I went on.
Show?
What?
Corbin show?
Porter show.
Porter.
Yeah, January 22nd, 94. 6 weeks, 2 months after Frank died. It was the first time I was on. You just had your earthquake.
Right.
And I went on with Porter about the LaRouche versus Zappa ethos.
Oh.
And then Zappa, and I was in the middle. I didn't favor either. But it's interesting, 4 days later, January 26 or 20, maybe 6 days later, LaRouche was released from jail. So LaRouche is alive and well. He's winning over Frank on a certain level.
Yeah. And how is he how is that totally the opposite of his musical taste?
Well, I have in my liner notes, we should get that point out, but I point out that Frank is Aristotelian pagan,
Right.
and LaRouche is Platonic Christian.
Yeah. Okay.
And they both have a radio acoustic bias. If you notice on the chart, I also have 1960 to 77, Frank Zappa and LaRouche. See, 45 to 60 is maybe it's 18 to 45 is May Brussel and Finnegan's Wake. 45 to 60 is Frank Zappa and Lynn LaRouche paired off. 60 to 77 is Garrett Dean and Cosmic Awareness, so we've done 6. And then 77 to 90 is Herbert Armstrong, McLuhan, and Beater.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way there's phase up. So you have Zappa and LaRouche are in the 45 to 60 period.
Right.
So they're dialectic.
How is the
So you see, my stuff is consistent.
right? How is the Platonic Christian musically structured different from the pagan?
Right. LaRouche has incredible essays on this. Basically, LaRouche considers a musical innovation, a Beethoven discovery, equal to a scientific discovery. That's where all the holy offices integrate all the arts. Marshall integrated the arts, Zappa integrated, they all integrate. They unify the fragmentation of scientists versus the humanists, whatever, you know what I mean? So LaRouche integrates Platonic science with Platonic artistic creativity. And he discounts, he says anything that comes out of Schoenberg, Stravinsky, Cage, in 12-tone stuff is wrong, leads to stupid audiences, stupid people, and you have to retrieve the discoveries made by Bach's musical offering, and then Handel, maybe it's Handel, Haydn or Handel does musical offering. Anyways, first Bach makes the breakthrough. Then Haydn or Handel makes the next breakthrough. Then in 1782 to 1786, Mozart combines the breakthrough of Bach's musical offering and Haydn's whatever it was. It's a German word, and he creates new higher hypotheses with that. And it has to come out of the Bach. There's a necessary predecessor and a necessary successor. So it goes Bach, Haydn, Mozart, and then Beethoven. And they make these discoveries, and LaRouche spells it out. And it's all based on bel canto singing, and C equals 256, and A equals 440. I can't remember which A is supposed to be. And that has been changed in the 20th century. A has been moved to some other point.
A is 440.
Yeah, it's 440. Well, it should be 420 through 430 or something. I can't remember what it's supposed to be. They changed it at the Congress of Vienna in 1814, I think, but they didn't really get to implement it until the 20th century. So he says there are laws in making music, and to make contrapuntal music, and that the Frankfurt School that praised Stravinsky and Stockhausen are making music based on laws that violate neg entropy. They're entropic rules. But it's a very not complex, it's complex till you understand his jargon, but he applies the same principles to physics, to economy. It's the same thing. But he has done many essays on this. So Frank, because I have the quote in Emphatic Communion where where LaRouche dismisses Elvis and Dylan as the grunting of animals, or grunting of monkeys, monochronic strumming. He says it's too simple, too complex, and too sensual.
That's what Porter was read in that thing. He said.
Yeah,
LaRouche didn't know what he was talking about.
That's right. Porter is a Stockhausen. He's a musicologist. Zappa. He is the Aristotelian. Now, just by what I said, since he doesn't know LaRouche's stuff, what I said would evoke that response. It obviously sounded silly, but you have to understand LaRouche's point of view. David would have to look into his biases and be willing to drop his assumptions to see LaRouche's point of view. Most people aren't willing to do that. So yeah, most people will think LaRouche is absurd, but when you understand his point, that's a valid point. And you look at, if you don't use the McLuhan interpretation, music is ridiculous today. It's not even music, and the kids know it's not music, and they do it on purpose. Now, are the kids getting smarter? I think rock has proven that it fails. Maybe because of overkill. It'd be great to have every now and then. But the kids need a new retrieval of visual Western classical tradition.
Bob, in the last 2 minutes of this 3-tape series, tell this group one thing you've said about Bob Dobbs you've never said to anyone anywhere.
One thing I know about Bob Dobbs?
You can say about Bob Dobbs that you've never said to anyone anywhere.
Okay, but now LaRouche, just to finish that point,
Okay.
the Western classical tradition doesn't mean we got to have another Beethoven. He says there has to be someone show up who will develop the principles by going back and understanding what they discovered, and then something new will come. Now it's a question whether that can be done, but he says that has to be done, and that most of the 20th century has not encouraged the development of
kids have to be brought up in this
a LaRouchian
tradition.
style. Yeah. So he's just basically saying, we've got to revive visual space, let the eyes demand their turn, and that's valid. Every sense has a right to exist. Okay, so
You got like 2 minutes
something that never been said before.
about you, or not personally about you, but
Well, I would say that that all these new things I tell people are so old that you're just hearing a tape. And the secret about Bob Dobbs is he hasn't told anybody anything new from his point of view in years.
Tell us something new from your point of view.
oh God,
I don't have a point of view.
He asked you earlier
Yeah.
if you had a point of view, and you said yes, and now you go, I was going to say, boy, you're talking Jesus every 10.
See, that's the idea. He has to switch. He can never be at a fixed point.
Right, now, okay.
That's the whole idea.
You're wrong. You're fucking wrong. If you're looking at me in person, it appears that way that I'm fitting his wake, jumping all over the place. You have to find the continuity. And in simple terms, the continuity is Connie. Continuity, eh? Connie. But I'm only jumping around